Unfiltered with Bran Otieno and Dongo Gashane.
Unfiltered, your go-to political and social affairs show. This is where you get analysis and insights you need to get anywhere else. I'm your host, Ndongo Gashane, and I'm not hosting this show alone.
You're with Daniel Karaoke. Karaoke is here. Another Thursday.
I like it when you introduce yourself so
that we don't look like we are I'm a guest.
Yes.
But of course we have a guest today. Another Thursday to talk about issues that are affecting the country, the state of the nation. As we you say we do what? We don't filter.
Yes, we don't filter. It's called unfiltered.
Unfiltered.
Yeah.
That's the reason today we are having Agnes to talk to us. He's a long-time politician. You've been in this for quite some time. Yeah, right?
Yes.
Maneno ya chama pia nini unaelewa.
Sisi ndo wenyewe sasa.
Nyinyi ndio wenyewe. Wanasemaje kule pwani ya Kenya? Kule coast wanasemaje?
Tuko sawa kabisa, tumejipanga.
Yes.
We are on strong.
Tunaenda
strong.
Mnasukuma.
We have to.
Welcome to Unfiltered.
Asante sana.
Of course, Kashana, there is a lot we are going to be discussing. It matters to do with parties, matters to do with dialogue, national cohesion, and much more of the matters politics here in the country. 2027 also, with the guest today.
And you also know that recently our guest was appointed the chairperson.
Yes.
Of the implementation of the 10-point agenda.
Yes.
And the NADCO report.
NADCO
the National,
report.
National
Dialogue
Committee
report that was between the Wiper leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, and the majority leader in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah.
So between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza.
Actually, it was between the two coalition, Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. And of course, I think we should start there.
Yes, we should, I think. And in any society, there are times when you find there are quite substantial differences.
Yes.
And you've got to find ways to bring people together. Sometimes it's across governance issues. Sometimes it's about certain principles. Sometimes it's ethnic strife. You know, every society will go through that. And if you look at the Kenya history, we've gone through always trying to fight for democracy, trying to fight for our spaces, starting with the Constitution 2010. And allow me at this point really to mourn here about my party leader, the late Raila Amolo Odinga, who was very instrumental in that process, and we are his students. He has actually trained us to be what we are. But if you remember, even at 2010, dissenting voices, what should we do? How should we do things? And the idea of devolution being a key factor. So we had Constitution 2010. But even despite that, there came up other issues. For example, issues of inequalities were still there. Issues of women feeling we don't have the space. Issues of the youth feeling we're not where we need to be. Issues of employment, issues of making sure devolution works. Because we thought once you have it in the Constitution, that's done. But then you realize after some time, you've got to be able to follow through. So with all these issues coming into the Constitution, then later on in BBI, same issues coming up. More recently, because as society transforms itself, you reach a point of strife and a reaction. And we saw that after the 2022 elections and the strife that we had, especially from the Kenyans and quite a number of the youth. And from that process, the two political coalitions decided, let's get together and be able to put a process that will really help us to solve some of the issues. And there came the National Dialogue Committee that was able to go through a raft of issues. Basically, they were looking at constitutional, legal, and policy issues across some of the acrimonies that had come. For example, at that time, IBC didn't have the commission in place. You know, that was one of the first things that they were able to do, and they came with a bill which is now being enacted to ensure that that remains in place. The issues of the constitution, the issues of, for example, the no more than 2/3 gender rule, the issues of the funds allocated to both National Assembly and to the Senate, public funds and how they should be used, and all these issues. So they were able to come up with a raft of report and a raft of legislative instruments, not just the nine NADCO bills that we talk about. The 9 bills are there. We have the overarching amendment bill, and then we have the IBC bill that was meant to be specifically addressing the issue of the commission. We have the election amendment bills. We have various issues that came as a way to address these issues. Then we have other bills as well that have not been implemented yet. And then we have other processes, because if you look at the NADCO process, they had almost 208 memorandums and they had 708 members who turned up at the last meeting, 254 members who were able to come and give their views, very, very vast views. So there's a lot going in there. I'm talking broadly about the NADCO report because part of the 10-point agenda
Is the
is the
It's
NADCO
derived
report.
from,
And you'll ask me when I get to that, why are we relooking at the NADCO report? Because we are coming in as the implementation committee. So one of the things, and I think this has happened in many facets of Kenyan development, many reports come and go. You hear a report, this one and that one came and went.
Especially reports that deal with elections.
Yes.
Each time we are having elections, and then later on,
Yes.
you get to find there's a report that has been
Yes.
brought,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden we don't know what happens to it, and then we move
Exactly.
on swiftly.
We move on until the other report.
Yes.
So one of the innovative things that they did in the NADCO committee was to make sure, in the NADCO process and the committee itself, was to make sure that there's an overseen implementation body.
Right.
Okay. And initially, in that report, it is called the NADCO Oversight Committee. And the idea was now to look at what has NADCO said and is it being implemented. And then through the statement that was made on the 6th of August by the president and by the late Raila Amolo Odinga, the principal of ODM, they came up with a committee of the 5 people. That is Dr. Agnes, the chair.
Yes.
We have Mr. Javas Bigambo, who is the vice chair. And then we have Mheshimiwa Fatuma Ibrahim, who is one of the members. We have Mr. Oguda, and then we have
Kevin.
Mr. Kevin Kiari. So we are the 5 of us. And basically, so we come in as an oversight committee. The name of the committee is Committee Overseeing the Implementation of the 10-point agenda and NADCO. We have acronymed it because it is, you can see it is a mouthful, into Coin 10. And we want to educate our Kenyans and also talk with our Kenyans to know what is this Coin 10, because they'll be hearing about Coin 10. So Coin 10 is like the BBI version, the short Building Bridges Initiative, now the short form of that. And within the Coin 10, we are meant to oversee, to ensure that the NADCO report, recommendations, legislative agenda, policy frameworks are implemented. We are overseen to ensure so that if there's a gap, if there's a lag, we can be able to point it out. So that's one aspect of this committee. The other aspect of this committee is the 10-point agenda. And the 10-point agenda was, as the MOU was being crafted, they wanted to see what are the main issues that are coming in. So the 10-point agenda starts, of course, with the NADCO report. Then it goes to the issues of inclusivity, making sure, especially for the youth. By inclusivity, we're looking at social, political, cultural, maybe even inclusivity. Just making political inclusivity. Everybody's a Kenyan. That's why sovereignty of the people, the first clause in our constitution.
In the constitution, yeah.
And then we have devolution as a big thing there. How is devolution? How can it be strengthened? How can we continue to make sure devolution proceeds in the way they're meant to go? Then we have the issue of the youth and youth inclusivity, making sure that they are part and parcel of the process. We have the issue of a peaceful assembly. Members can be able to, as the rights are within our rights within the constitution, they can be able to assemble and make their points heard. We have the issues of the debt, levels of the debt. We have issues of corruption. We have issues of devolution. We have issues to ensure that the sovereignty of the people is upheld. So when we're talking about the 10-point agenda, that's basically it. And what are we to do? We're meant to assess this 10-point agenda. To what level is it being implemented? And that's why we're coming in to oversee.
Yes.
And then we have the MOU as well, which was the MOU between the two principals.
The two principals and the party, the UDA and ODM.
Exactly.
Yes.
So in that MOU, there are certain provisions that we are expected to do. For example, we're meant to go to we started off with the joint PG between Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. That was the first joint committee that we had.
Yes.
And we were able to present a report there. And then we are also meant to give report status to both the principals every 2 months. So every 2 months, report to the principals. And every 4 months, the next one is coming December 18th, we have the joint PG as a way to ensure that the process is going on. And then finally, our report should be ready by the 6th of March. And on the 7th of March, at the anniversary of the MOU signing, which was 7th of March,
Yes.
2020,
2025.
2026.
2026.
Yes, you are
Yes.
supposed to submit your final
Exactly.
report.
By 2027, 1 year later, we are meant to now submit our final report. Where are we in terms of all these issues? Submit that report at that anniversary. And that will be the final report as per now, unless, of course, other issues come up.
You say that you're supposed to submit report after every 2 months.
Yes.
So how have you done that, and what is the status of that progress?
Yes, so thank you very much. So the first report we submitted was an extensive report. Actually, when we were appointed on the 6th of August, by the time we consolidated ourselves and we met, our first meeting was on the 13th of August. And 13th of August, we had just about 5 days to the 18th of August when we had the PG, and we did bring the report. What is that report about? That report basically is a projection about what our task is. It explains what our mandate is, what are we expected to carry out. It explains the methodologies. It explains comparative studies. It explains the stakeholders, how we're meant to engage with them. It's a vast raft of how we're meant to progress within the committee. And then after that one to the PG, and we got a chance also to listen to the principals at that particular meeting, just to get the vision, So this committee was just not about looking at the 10-point agenda, but looking at that agenda in the context of where should it be taking us.
Yes.
Why is it important to fight corruption? Because without fighting corruption, with corruption, we're not going to get to that developed country status that we hope to get to. So then we had that process, and we were able to present our report. Then after that, we had the next report, which was due on the 6th of October, which we were able to present to the principals. Yes. Our next report to the principals and to the joint PG is going to be on the which date is that? On the 8th of December.
Okay, you said that
the
on
6th of
October you
December.
presented a report to
the principals.
Yes, how was it? How was that report?
So what we have within the committee is the second report was actually a continuation of the status quo report, because remember, in between, we were to get our committee to a level where we would have already been able to meet the people, we'd have been able to discuss with them, we'd have been able now to give. So it's an implementation committee report. That report had adjustments, for example, in terms of the implementation framework, but we continued as a team to continue to be able to put together, refine our questions, refine our tools as we wait, because when it comes to now meeting the people, especially, for example, we have the 8 regional conferences that we're going to go out into the various regions, we need to have the machinery and the structure from both the political parties and indeed from all Kenyans, so that we can be able to do that. So this second report was a redefinition of how we're going to exactly get into that. Now, before that report, we had a discussion within the committee, and we felt, should we do this report? Because it's not yet the implementation report. But the issue of reporting to the principals is a statutory issue.
Yes.
Within the MOU. So a report is always necessary. We gave that report, and we redefined what we were to do, and in between that time, what we had done, and we handed over the report. Now, within this committee, we have the joint secretaries. The joint secretaries are the executive directors of ODM and UDA. And these joint secretaries then go through the party structures. So they are part and parcel of our committee. So once we've been able to hand that report, and later on, we will meet the principals as well, which was also being planned because it's part of the mandate. At the time when we were nearly having that event, we lost our principal. So that has been put on hold for a bit, but I think it'll be coming up very soon, so that we are able just to make sure we are all syncing, across political party ideology about where we want to go with this committee.
You talk about the regional conferences.
Yes.
What is it supposed to mean, and what will you be presenting to these regional conferences?
Good question. We won't be presenting. In fact, they will be the ones presenting to us. We'll be going out there and meeting and asking, for example, across each of the issues we're handling. I'll just take devolution as an example. What is the status of devolution? How can we strengthen? How can we weaken devolution? What is our level? How are we moving on with devolution? So we will have already gone into the specific measurabilities. For example, if devolution is working, what do we expect? When it is not working, issues that are tied around devolution. For example, the current allocation into the counties for the equitable share was 451 billion. And we're asking ourselves, okay, so is this enough? Is this what they should have requested for? Is this what is viable to them? How is it being used? How is it absorbed? How are they dealing with health, community health promoters, for example? How are they dealing with the issues of resource, on-source revenue? How are they dealing with the issues within the counties? How are they dealing with the issues of ensuring that the distribution goes, for example, to each of their various wards? And I'll tell you, various counties have handled it very differently. There are certain counties where you find they will sit and decide how that allocation should be done. And we have also the ward equitable share issue that came up, I think, in Senate, which was to ensure that every ward, because you can decide, I'm not giving to this ward, I'm not giving to the other ward. So once we have those parameters in place, we'll be going and asking, for example, in the counties, in terms of devolution, what is your level of, so at different points, of course, now starting with the county of governance for each of the counties, at what point, what is your collection for on-source revenue? How are you using it? What is the distribution, for example, of service deliverers within your counties, 30% versus 70%, external from the county, internal to the counties? What other issues are coming up in terms of the county that are important for the devolution process? What is your distribution of health services, for example? What is your feedback that is coming in within the county about key issues within your county? What is your level of production, agriculture within your county? So we'd have already had the initial meetings with the leaders, and then now in those forums now we'll be talking to the people. So we'll be saying, so to you, what is devolution? What does it mean? How has it enhanced? Has it enhanced services? For example, is there better healthcare within the community? If you're looking at youth and inclusivity for the youth, for example, what are the youth employment rates? Have they improved? Have they decreased? What is the status of participation, political participation? What is the status of employment? How many are employed? How many are unemployed? What is the status of being able to be self-employed? So these are the indicators that we need to continue to develop very well. And then when we go out now, we'll be getting two levels and angles of the answers. We'll be getting the theoretical answers from surveys that we will give, but we'll also be getting the feel from the regional caucuses, where people will tell us, for example, when it comes to deal with the national debt, or we think the national debt is ballooning, it has not improved, it's going up, that sort of thing.
Right. Someone will ask,
Yes.
there's a lot that you have really explained about the implementation committee, and you're going to the counties, yes, and you're looking forward to the 10-point agenda being implemented. And there is an interlink between the implementation of the 10-point agenda and the implementation of the NADCO report. You talked of 9 bills, and one has already actually been dealt with, the one that the president has already ascended to law, the IBC bill that gave the go-ahead to have the commissioners into the electoral body. Some of these things will not really need the committee or rather parliament to go around. The bills are already there.
Yes, I
Why
see.
has it not happened that the bills have been passed or dealt with in the House? Because the NADCO report is already with the National Assembly, I think even with the Senate. Why is it not being dealt with? Why are the rest of the bills not being dealt with? Is it that they're waiting for the committee?
What you've asked is a very important question, and what we need to differentiate is whether we are implementing or overseeing the implementation. So you can be an implementer by virtue of identifying the gaps and pinpointing. But as we perceive this committee, there are people already who are meant to be implementing. We have EACC, for example, if it is matters of corruption, all right? We have the relevant youth ministries if it is matter of education. We have the youth ministries, we have the relevant ministries dealing with the youth. We have the issues of the national debt, for example, with the controller and budget and the auditor general giving all these issues. And what are we saying about these issues? We're saying, for example, when it comes to national debt, that national debt is ballooning, it's continuing, isn't it? It's becoming bigger and bigger. That has been established, all right? We are coming in as an oversight committee to look at, for example, if we're looking at the NADCO report and the bills that they have presented, we're coming to oversee to ensure, as you rightly said, the legislative process is already in place and the bills are already in place. So we're not coming to say, where are the bills? Have you put them in the National Assembly? We're coming now to oversee and say, okay, so for example, this particular bill has already passed. This particular bill, I'll give you an example for the no more than 2/3 gender rule. That whole discussion at the NADCO level was given to a group of people, the multitasking group of people, who are meant to be able to assess the issue and be able to find a way forward for it. And when it came now to some of the bills, we needed to be able to differentiate those that have to go for a referendum, either that process starting through the parliament, because that is an option that is given in Article 255, and how is it going to be tackled? Because for some, it might need to go back to the counties to say to the various specific counties for them to vote at 2/3 of the issue. So when you're looking at the particular bills that have been put in Parliament for that one, it came to a point where they decided now we're going to separate and have this bill dealt with differently by the multitasking group. And this is a bill that will come separately. And then we have the other bills that will go on. So basically what we're looking at is a situation where we'll come and say, for example, that we had so many bills, the 9, which are in National Assembly and the Senate. 4 of them are in the Senate, 4 of them are in the National Assembly, in terms of origination, because now we're in a bicameral system. So each bill has to originate from one house and then it is processed at the other house, but they use the joint committees to make that easier. So we're looking at each of these bills and then we'll be able to say, but how about this other proposal that was made in NADCO? How far is the 2/3? Now, the 2/3 bill, as you speak, is already, there's a bill already sponsored by Senator Elachi. I think we have a Senator now, she's now in the National Assembly, so Honorable Elachi, and a team, which is meant to look specifically at the no more than 2/3. But you see, sometimes when you have legislation that has been put out, some of it might not be getting followed. Now, especially for the NADCO bills, there's been a lot of attention on those bills, and they have progressed. But there are other specific recommendations that have been given in the NADCO report that might not necessarily be part of those bills. When we come, for example, to the process of overseeing, for example, on an issue like corruption, or if you're looking at an issue of sovereignty of the people, or if you're looking at the issue of the youth and inclusivity or devolution itself, we'll be saying, as we oversee, we're seeing that when it comes to the issue of the amount of money that goes to the county, it's not being well utilized. Or when it comes to the issues of on-source revenue, what is happening to those on-source revenue? So the parameters have already been set. We're not setting the parameters.
Right.
The parameters have all been set. The oversight committee is just to make sure that things actually happen. In terms of the bills, they have happened effectively.
Yes.
But now when it comes to some of the things, and how are we going to know whether they have happened effectively or not, is now when we go back to the communities, when we go back to the
and you hear
regional
from
caucus.
what they are talking about. But Dr. I think Kariuki was a bit shy because I feel like he wanted to ask what is the work of this committee, because if it's about oversighting, we have other statutory bodies that are whose work is basically to oversight the implementation of what is happening. If it's about corruption, if it's about the use of public resources, why do we need a committee to oversight people to do their work, and there are other bodies that are established by the Constitution to really look into these issues? And number 2, the issue of acceptability of this committee, because this is a committee formed by 2 political parties. That is basically ODM. I don't even call it Azimio, because it's ODM, because you understand
at the
politics.
MOU, it is ODM and UDA.
Yeah, ODM and even UDA. And when we come to the issue of NADCO, the forum that was there between the people who are the members of the NADCO team. We had Kalonzo Musyoka, we had Kimani Ichung'wah, we had people like Jeremiah
Cecil
Kioni,
Mbarire,
who actually fell out. So the issue of acceptability, going back to the communities and hearing from them, when it is a formation of 2 political parties, how do you intend to confront the tag that you are just being used by these 2 political parties to probably seek for their acceptability in communities.
And I would add on that the eligibility of this committee now that we actually don't have one of the principles.
I'll start with the eligibility of this committee and say that there's never a vacuum in political parties. As we were formulated, of course, we lost the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, he died. And now we have Dr. Oburu as the party leader.
Right.
We also have deputy party leaders within the structure of the party. So at any one time, there's no theoretical and structural vacuum that. Of course, there's a vacuum in many other ways, ideologically and perception-wise, but when it comes to that, we don't have a vacuum per se. So we will have others stepping in, because this is an MOU, it's an agreement now. The idea of political parties coming up with this, remember, within the political parties, even from the political parties license and from the registrar of political parties, we have almost to about 100 political parties. They keep changing because some, when the audit happens, they don't get qualified as political parties. So about 90 to 100 parties. They represent people and interests within those people. ODM as a party, we have our own ideology of social democracy. We have our people who succumb or who prescribe to that ideology. UDA have the ideology. And other political parties, these people are still the same people in society who are keen about issues in society, but they also have political affiliation to follow up on those specific issues. And we're looking at the arrangement between UDA and ODM. Remember the context with which it came about, and people feeling that these were the key political parties that if they were able to sit and be able to find a way to deal, because what are the issues? The issues just come from the society, but the issues also are dealt with by people who are political players. Auditor General is there, he will give us the figures. The Controller of Budget is there, he will give us the figures. The overseeing agents will give the figures, but in a different context, because if we talk the way you've asked the question, we'll ask ourselves then, once we had the Constitution 2010, why don't we sit back? Si ishafanyika, everything has been put into place. When we had the Building Bridges Initiative, that had, it was stalled because of the court order. But the issues that need to be addressed always have a different angle to addressing them, isn't it? So I think we have the general oversights that are always there, a way to be able to assess what is happening where, a report will be done about the debt, for example, the debt is increasing, the devolution projects will be told people, but within the context of political parties, we're saying this becomes an agenda-driven, and that's why for this particular committee, it wasn't contextualized like BBI committee. It is actually a committee of two political parties who have a right to play a part in the socio-economic well-being and development of the country. So overseeing and looking and saying these 10 issues are very, very important. So very much like BBI, very much like devolution in terms of the Constitution 2010, there were other players there already. There were governments. There were already people who were saying, for example, devolution is important. We need to be able to enhance it. But there's always a continuation and a way to keep assessing these issues. So this is primarily party-driven. It doesn't stop all the other national processes from going on. And we should remember that in our process, we'll be turning back to those same figures, because let me ask you a question. Who is doing, for example, the changes over time, for example, in the corruption index, for example? If the corruption index last year was at 0.3 and now it is at 0.6, for example, where is that comparison being done? When we are looking at things like the Gini coefficient, it measures the level of inequalities. So if you look at, for example, South Africa, not very high from us, different, us we're at 0. Kenya is at 0.38, South Africa is at 0.45, and then we're looking at other societies and their different inequality level. What we are coming to do is to say, these are the inequality levels. This is how they have changed over time. The Auditor General or the person in charge of the inequalities will not do that. And then we're coming to say, these are the differences. We are either improving or we are not improving. We're coming to give that overarching feeling. And you'll ask yourself, why the 10-point agenda? these are the issues that people felt within the political parties that these are the issues we needed to address. For example, from ODM, if we're talking about devolution is Baba. Minus Baba and democracy, there would not have been devolution. And you remember even Dr. Mbai, who died in the process. When it comes to the corruption issue, this is an issue squarely within our government that needs to be dealt with. When we are dealing with the national debt, the current government, for example, who is UDA led, will want to be able to give us the explanations about the issues that are there. So the fact that it's been done nationally doesn't exempt political players coming into the fore, because this MOU is, we have not said it's an MOU tying up the national governments and time. This is an MOU between political parties who have ideals, who are saying this is the direction we want to be able to go, and we're coming to say, have we gone in that direction or haven't we gone in that direction?
Part of the 10 points agenda was the compensation of victims because of the demonstrations that we had seen. And now a committee again has been actually sworn in to oversee the compensation. Now, are you working with this committee also? Because now your work was to oversee the implementation, and now there is another committee that is again working on the same issue that is part of the issues that you are looking into.
Yes. So when the meeting happened on the 6th of March, and the MOU itself on the 7th of March coming, and the issue of putting the agenda, this agenda was all put, and one of the issues was the issues about peaceful assembly. The right to peaceful assembly, and that protesters should not, suffer the consequences of rightful assembly. And that was the issue of the protesters, and ensuring that that does not happen. First, it became only as that issue. Then later on, as the protesters actually got to a point where now, another decision now, sometimes we do not have what we call rigidity or control of the issues. You remember that was an issue that people kept talking about over and over again. And then we have the Professor Makau committee that was set, which of course now there's a court order for them. Their work has been halted to begin the compensation. So it is part of the approach. But the issue of protesting and rightful assembly is not just about those protesters. From our overarching issue as the committee overseeing, it means looking through circumstances and different opportunities of people being able to assemble and being able to be given the right to assemble now and in the future. The Mutua committee is dealing with a specific issue, and that is compensation. It's not the only issue. When we're talking about the youth and peaceful assembly and being able to be given a right, it's not just about those who happen to suffer the consequences of that peaceful assembly. It is about enhancing that. It's about making sure their voices are heard. It's meant to be to give the youth a chance to be able to talk when they want to be able to talk. You see? So that's only one issue, the compensation. And that was specifically now given to another body. Yeah, but that doesn't exempt us now, because that has been taken not to do we are not overseeing how they're doing their compensation directly. They'll do the compensation. We'll deal with the overarching issue of assemblies and how people can continue to peacefully assemble.
And don't you feel we are having so many committees?
Like which ones?
We started with NADCO. We came up with a committee. We called it National Dialogue Committee. And then the report. We had bipartisan.
Yes, the one that didn't take off.
That did not take off. Then here comes NADCO. They come up with a report. We take it to Parliament. They actually present it to the two principals. That's the late Raila Odinga as well as President William Ruto. Then in a few months' time again, we are having another committee. We're having the two parties sign an MOU on various issues, 10 points. Then after that, we are having a committee on the implementation of the 10 points agenda. Then before we even think of how the committee on implementation of the 10-point agenda will move forward, we are having another committee.
Which one?
Of compensation. Now, where does this live as and how do we move forward? Are we going to continue having this kind of committees? And maybe that's the reason some people are running to court and trying to block these committees from working.
I'll answer the question differently. Are the issues that are raised in society not important enough to warrant those committees? And then I'll put it in a different way. What are the gains that we have achieved in those committees? Then I'll ask another question. Supposing those committees were not there at all. Okay. Starting with the overarching, because the issue with societies that evolve is that things are never static. If you look at the process of Kenya, you know, even right from single party to multi-party in the 1990s, changes all the time. Coming to the Constitution 2010, we knew now we have the Constitution. After the Constitution, already changes within the Constitution, we need to expand on this a bit more, we need to amend this a little bit more. Going to the NADCO report, look at the issue of a stalled IEBC at that point. Look at some of the issues to do with the commissioners, for example, that, you know, now the committee has been left with 3 commissioners. The issue of should we have these commissioners, for example, stagger their appointments so that at any one time, because now we had a situation where IBC was disabled altogether. And then the process of, because that's what NADCO was dealing with, how are we going to get the committee into place? And what the NADCO team was able to put into place is to say, let us ensure that we have the selection panel. Now, they're listening to the various views. Now, tell me, gentlemen, where would these views be coming through if there was not that committee put in there? Because, you see, we cannot, as a society, address our problems as static societies. The issue that we had after the 2022 elections and moving into 2023 of having only 3 commissioners was an alien issue. It had not happened. Now you'll tell me, oh, there was also the Kriegler report. Oh, there was the Kriegler committee. The Kriegler report did not handle this issue then because it was yet something that has not happened. This is something. So my point is societies evolve. And to me, the issues now coming to our content report committee overseeing the implementation of the 10-point agenda, coming in at a time where we are quelling the issues of 2022, and we're saying, let's look back at these issues again. How can we revamp them? How can we be able to address them within the context of where we are? So if you look at the relevance of those committees, they might look like they're dealing with the same issue. But we have, in sociology, we say continuity and change. You never handle the same issue in the same way. When we were handling IBC, it wasn't IBC just IBC issues. It was IBC within a new dynamic. It was IBC. It had never happened where we found ourselves only with 3 commissioners. It was, and then I think trying to keep in check with the constitutionalism that is there. Some of the issues have been there for a long time and they haven't been yet well handled. So it is another attempt. And I think any society that is thriving always wants to try to find another attempt. This is the way I'd like to see it, that there's always a new way to try to address new problems. Maybe there'll be an impetus, you know. And you remember even during the fight of the Constitution 2010, we had various camps, isn't it? We had people who felt, for example, we should not have devolution, with the whole issue of leadership and integrity as a Chapter 6 issue being dealt with thoroughly. There's always evolution and there's always change, new ideas coming in. You will never have exactly the same scenario as you had yesterday with a situation. Where we are now is different from where we were 10 years ago.
And even yesterday.
Even yesterday.
No, well, responding to Dan's question.
Dan, I'm seeing nimekupuzzle kabisa hapo.
Actually, when responding to Dan's question, you have actually started a very important issue.
Yes.
And there is need to look at the gains of these committees as opposed to being a static society.
Right.
But since you started, what is one of the gains that you could say that since this committee was established, this is one of our most, I think, the thing that you can pride yourself in. What have you gained, or what is this thing that you can say that if you had not been formed, we would not have achieved this?
Now, this is a hypothetical question coming in right in the middle of the committee's work towards the most critical part. What we want to be able to say when we finish our work as a committee is that we give Kenyans a chance to be heard and to be reheard. We gave a chance to the Kenyans to evaluate and bring out the issues clearly about what needs to be done. And I know what you're trying to say. For example, are we going to come up with a particular, for example, policy or a particular constitutional amendment or a particular legal issue? That's what we hope we'll be able to do. Okay. When we get to that point, because remember, Mr. Gashane, what I said earlier is that now we've reached a point where now we're going to meet with the public. We're going to hear the public. We have to be so seasoned in the way we are listening to the public for us to add value in this committee. We'll be looking to say, is this a policy issue? How can we really deal with it? Is this a legislative issue? Is it a constitutional issue? Is it how? So it's always an opportunity. A talking society, I think, is a thriving society. And as you notice, Kenyans, we're talking more and more, I think, as we go. We're talking through the social media quite a bit. We're listening to the young people as they're articulating their views. Your view yesterday is different from today, even 5 minutes ago. So if we're able to articulate all those views and put them together, so I cannot now tell you as a committee that we're going to have this thunder moment. We will have it, but we will know it then, because this committee is not manufacturing. It's results. Yes,
I get
it's not manufacturing results. It's getting it from the people. So if we're able to connect with them the way we do, if we're able to put our tools properly, if we're able to get to the nitty gritty, if we're able to really be able to get to the bottom line, I think we'll have something to add. We'll have. I think so far, even a comparative analysis has not been done. In terms of changes over time. Where were we yesterday? Where are we now? As something tabulated might be something very important for us. 3 things I've gotten from you. Number 1, you may come up with a legal framework, policy intervention, or even constitutional amendment. This is the implementation committee on 10-point agenda and the NADCO report. We had the BBI that crisscrossed across every part of this nation, and they came up with a constitutional amendment. So can we say this is a ploy by President William Ruto and the broad-based partner to come up with a resolution such as a constitutional amendment? Because, by the way, part of the NADCO bill, the NADCO recommendation, was the creation of the office of opposition leader, and also the creation of the position of prime cabinet, actual prime minister.
Entrenchment of the same, because we already have a prime cabinet secretary.
So we also had another recommendation that Raila has been, when he was alive, he actually opposed to the NGCDF.
Yes.
But there was entrenchment of
CDF into the Constitution.
And also the oversight
can we say
into the Senate.
Looking at, because this is unfiltered, is your mandate seeking to rationalize or establish these positions, and we are crisscrossing the country to come up with a referendum?
Now,
actually, that's the question. Are we headed for a referendum?
Let me answer. Read the statement given on the 6th of August, setting the committee. Simply said, this is a committee to oversee the implementation. You keep saying implementing. To oversee the implementation of the NADCO report and the 10-point agenda, and of course the MOU. Look at this 10-point agenda, see how they've worked. We will give the report. We cannot say, because it was a preemptive question, yes, what might happen? And these are scenarios. But none of the scenarios might be, or all of them might be. I'm telling you, we're not sitting in the office and saying, hey, I think this is it, this is what we need to be put. I'd like in this committee that I chair, that I want the data to be able to speak for itself. I want the data to be able to speak for itself. Let that data come from the people of Kenya. Let them express themselves. And the beauty about the Kenyan people, they will always express themselves. Let them express themselves. Let them come up and say what really the issues are. And we are always, as Kenya, open to discussing the issues. I don't think we can really force, something to be done by Kenyans when they don't want to be done. It to be done. So I think it's an issue of going there, listening, let the people speak. Let's take what the people speak. Remember, we're looking at the NADCO report. We're looking at some of the bills they put. We're saying this is what they have presented as bills. Okay, they've passed in the houses. How have they been analyzed? How have they been articulated and all that? That is a different process. We have the MOU this side. We have the 10-point agenda. Then we'll make the report. Then, remember, the same political parties and others too By the way, when we went for the PG, as much as we're saying between UDA and ODM, we had also members at the PG from other political parties who are not part and parcel of the MOU.
The Kenya
who
Kwanza
are, yes, yeah, the
coalition.
coalition, who are also there. So once everything has been put together, so I think there's a way somebody can impute motive. Okay, BBI operated under the circumstances of BBI, including their leadership. This is a committee. Our mandate is clear. We need to be able to do the work as I said. We will give the recommendations. We will talk about what the results will be. But now to be in this program to say, this process is going to produce this, then what are we doing the process for? If we already know, kama tushaandika conclusion,
Kama already mko na recommendation.
No, you gentlemen, you're giving me a hard task. We haven't even gone to meet the people, and then tumesema mnataka niseme tena tumesema conclusion. Then what are we going to meet them for? When they see us there, they'll say.
Don't you feel they are going to feel like this is another opportunity for these politicians maybe to come up with such a thing, because they saw it with BBI, 47 counties.
Yeah. You know, when it comes to issues of economic and social development, it becomes very tricky because remember, Kenyans, in terms of the social status, we have also Kenyans who, are in a situation where they want to see better things happening in their lives. Okay. So, for example, when we talk about the issues of various funds, for example, that go back to the constituencies and the process that they go, that's another area for good study because, of course, we're saying that this now should not be done by the parliamentarians. It should be done by another process. You remember that occultation that was happening in there. And maybe those on the ground feel if it's done by these leaders, we're able to do it better. As I said, in a situation of stability and change, you never know where something might just break. Remember, as you're having this discussion, new points are coming in. And one of the issues, I'll give you an example of the Natural Resources Benefit Sharing Bill that I sponsored and worked on for a long time when I was in Senate. And issues, for example, like the sovereign fund. Not the countries that started those sovereign funds, even the refabrication of areas that have been used for natural resources, where mining has taken place, changing to the pond. Sincerely, that discussion did not start at the beginning of the process. It started when after the mining had done, but we have this hole here. What do we do about it? We remember even the generations are changing. And now we have younger people who are coming into society's talking space and analysis space and contribution space who have different sorts of solutions to different things. What I would say, if I was to speak with authority and speak at a level of being understood by Kenyans, I'd say every situation merits discussion. Nothing has ever gone wrong with a discussion. Nothing has ever gone wrong with consensus building. Nothing has ever gone wrong with that space has been given to us. That democratic space has been given to us. Let's use that space as much as possible.
But even as you continue with overseeing the implementation of the 10-point agenda, you are an appointee of a political party called ODM. The Secretary General of that party, Edwin Sifuna, feels that the Kenya Kwanza administration has fallen short on the implementation of the same. How do you feel when you hear your party, one of the officials of your party, saying that the marriage should be ended just because he feels something has not been done, or Ruto and his administration has breached the trust that was there?
How many members do we have in ODM? Running into millions.
But you're speaking about the spokesperson.
No. I'm coming to answering your question. So how many people do we have in ODM all saying different things at different time? One of the things that we'll find in ODM, and maybe sometimes it surprises various other political parties, is the space to express yourself. If you remember Baba had a listening ear. Baba would not talk to you because you were coming with a different idea from what somebody else is saying. Baba would listen to you. Because sometimes in listening, as I said, you might come up with an issue that you hadn't even preempted, okay? So we are a talking party. Yes. And right now, ODM, we are really a talking party. From the constituency level, to the polling station. And because we have structures that go right up to the polling station, everybody's talking and everybody's saying different things. And of course, we have a situation also with our party leader having departed, and God rest his soul in peace. There's a lot of discussion. And sociologically, that is very natural. You know, you look at your own example, Mr. Gashane. If you lose your father, Paul, if you haven't lost him, or your mother, and is everybody going to continue the same way? There'll be different people will say, let me take up this role. Mwingine atasema, mwingine atasema hivi na hivi. It is part of what in sociology we call structuralism and conflict. It is very, very part of a process of people as humanity. People will always, but the most important thing is somewhere along the line, some sort of consensus begins to build up. And that consensus now gives the impetus for the direction moving forward.
But the rifts, we cannot just sit
How
here
do you know
and
there
not
are
say
rifts?
that.
How
There
do you
is
know
in
there are
ODM. Of course, you have seen when you are saying this. calling
Edwin
for the
Sifuna
national-
saying that,
saying that.
Gladys Wanga saying something different, and then at the same time again, the party leader.
Now,
The party leader who has actually gone silent.
no,
Where is the
no,
party
no,
leader?
no, let me ask you a question now. I'll be philosophical. Okay, so now we're talking about ODM. Of the other 90 political parties, including Liberal Movement Party, including ile nyingine ya agriculture, wakulima party, let me ask farmers parties, what are they saying? No, answer. What are they saying? You've heard the voice of ODM. What is the farmers party speaking
But
right
in
now?
ODM is, ODM, the leader.
They celebrated 20 years.
20 years.
So they've been in this for quite some time. And of course, as you have said, they have members. They have very staunch members.
national party.
It's a national party.
You're refusing
But
to
the
hear.
issue-
You're refusing to hear what I
And
am
they have
saying.
actually signed a memorandum of understanding with the ruling party.
The ruling party.
So definitely.
So let me tell you what is happening. The farmers party is talking. Okay? Liberal Democrats are talking. The other political parties are talking. They are always talking because political parties are meant to be talking. They're meant to be addressing various issues. At certain times, they will hype up about specific issues. At certain times, they will not hype up. But I said something which was very, very important, yeah? And that is the structural. Because if you hear there's a political party that is not, maybe they're talking, or maybe they've been threefold, they cannot speak, maybe, or maybe there are different reasons, or maybe they don't have the space. You see, if you look at ODM, for example, even now here, you've given me the space to be able to speak.
Right.
If somebody else from another political party is not getting that chance, maybe they're doing a lot out there. but they have not been given that chance to speak. We have been able to get that chance to be able to speak, and we speak it. We have structures within the party that are very, very key and very, very important. Now, let me ask you something. This ODM speaking, you've only had it speaking more since Baba died. Haven't we not spoken for the last
Actually,
20 years?
the reefs
So
has
why
been-
now?
The rifts have been so wide after his death.
No, but every day
Because
when
we
the
are-
media, no, let me be very strict to the point, yeah? The media, if I remember the media, and I remember when I was acting Secretary General of the party.
Of the ODM
for
party.
10 years, yeah, for 10 years I acted as that. And every time the media would say, oh, there was this issue, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. Haven't we moved forward all this time? We move forward. We 10 years ago, it's the same situation.
But you see, madam,
for example,
the-
if I look at even the situations when we'd have, for example, like our nomination process. There's a time I walked into Orange House then, now we have Chungwa House as our headquarters. When I walked into, there were people in the compound. This one is saying this one is saying this, and I walked in and I told, give me 5 of you, give me 5 of you. We went and sat, arbitrated, solve the issue, and we move on. So some issues are solvable
Yes.
at certain points immediately. Some take a bit longer, but we do get to. So there's a lot of consensus as well, which sioni mkifocus hapo sana. Nataka huku kwengine sana.
The structure of the political parties in Kenya
Yes.
are formed around the personality based. They're
Yes.
personality based rather than
Yes.
issue based.
Yes, yes.
And some of the fears that the future of ODM may be in jeopardy is we saw what the SG of the party is saying. We actually saw the daughter of the former Prime Minister, the late Raila Odinga, was calling for the National Delegates Council so that the ODM members can decide who they want to lead the party. We have also seen the likes of Kina. This party, this guy MP for who is a budget chairperson, saying that Luo Nyanza is orphaned and they can only go forward.
He's called Nyamita, I think.
There's another guy.
It's Atandi.
Atandi,
Yes,
Sam Atandi.
Atandi.
He's talking about the Luo community being orphaned, and the only person who they can only support is President William Ruto. We have seen Ruth Odinga, who by the way was appointed as a Deputy Secretary General on
Organizing
Secretary General. So these differences, even from Raila's family, and the fact that parties in Kenya are built around the personality based. When you see UDA, you see Ruto. When we see DCP, we see Gachagua. When we see Wiper, we see Kalonzo. Now, with that in mind, and having been appointed by the ODM party, do you think that the leader who may come as a party leader in future, or the one who is there, Oburu Odinga, do you think he's going to continue the spirit of this committee? And do you feel, because you are supposed to report to the coalition principles, if I may call them so, then what is the fate of this committee and also the fate of ODM?
Do you think when political parties are not speaking that there's order in there? Do you think when political parties, there are political parties that are not speaking, and you're alluding that speaking equals disorder? And I'm asking a different question.
You're speaking when you are not united.
Do you think political parties that are not speaking for on behalf of the people have complete order in there? Yes or no?
Yeah, there might be order. All they are not speaking because there is no order. Yes.
So you're going to have speaking necessarily katika philosophy of logic.
Freedom of speech.
Speaking directly is not equal to disorder. Okay. People have different points of view, all right, and people speak under different circumstances, and they say, and it's good really that they're able to speak, okay, both within ODM and within other parties. There are other parties that are very silent, even when they do, you see, because we are very vibrant and open, even when we're having our elections within the parties and nominations, there's a lot
that goes on,
and everybody's talking, and we finally finish, and we finally move on. Right now, you find people are talking sincerely within the changes that have taken place. I think one of the things, there is a report that was done in ODM,
right,
and, and especially the role that Baba has played within the political party, and then of course he's not there. He's gone to rest in the Lord. Obviously, there'll be different sort of reactions, all right? And everybody will say different things. Remember, these issues are being all said in different space. The only way you can have a synthesis of everything that has been spoken is when these players again meet. Nyamita to be there, Winnie to be there. Winnie might say something different, she might say the same thing, yeah? Nani mwingine umemtaja aje, nani mwingine ametaja. And then, Baba would be very good at that, by the way, if I'm to, you haven't asked me, but let me give a few of insights I had with Baba. Finally, come on board. What is your point? Where are you coming from? What is your point? Where are you coming from? Because it is more dangerous not to speak and harbor it in and go and have a different consequence. But you've been able to speak, he'll look at you and say, oh, so this is where you're coming from. But do you know that issue that you're dealing with where it's coming from? It's been dealt with this way. Oh, it has been held. So we have great membership within the party. Different people speak different things.
Right.
But one of Baba's main strengths was to bring everybody together on the table. Now you'll ask, but Baba is no longer there.
Yes.
But
and who is able to do that?
But haven't we learned from
who is the
him
uniting
over time?
figure?
Haven't we learned that over time? Haven't we had a chance to observe Baba? I've had some of the members of ODM saying, parts of Baba are within me. Nishaona. So, we're going through transition, all right?
Yes.
Gentlemen, I'll put it on the table. We're going through transition.
Right.
And transition is transition.
It's transition.
It's a process. Any society, any group goes through transition.
So whatever is happening
How
is
the
expected.
the transition, no, I have not said those are your words. Transition
Yes.
is transition. We'll pass through the transition. We'll be able to get together. We will give the way forward.
Right.
We will give the way forward.
So
about
transition,
what we
you
are.
mean the party may...
No. Transition is transition. Transition, we're transiting now. Obviously, we had a party leader who died.
Right.
We have a party leader who we through the NGC in Mombasa. Validly put him into place because we have to do from the NEC. We have to move to NGC. The NEC is County Council of Governors. The other, the national. We have NEC, and then we have the Council of Governors. We have the Youth League. We have the Women League. We have the PW League. We have the different groups. Okay, this will consensus come through NEC. Any decision now has to go to NGC and then NDC.
Right.
That is the process. So maybe hypothetically, maybe we said we have to go there, but the way I've understood, wait, nitasahau. The way I've understood our structures, especially when I worked with acting Secretary General, acting Secretary General with the party, would be everything goes upward. All right.
Yes.
So it is hypothetical now. It is for the leadership to say it because the different arguments have come. Maybe NDC is the bigger body. NDC is the overarching body of delegates that I mentioned. So I can say presumably we were going there. Maybe presumably we're going to go there later. Maybe presumably, but maybe as a party now, I think very strategic because you've got to be very strategic as a party. And Baba was very strategic as a party. As a party, we will be able to get together, handle the situation, and then be able to know how we're moving forward. And I hope you wish us well as audience.
Definitely. We are
I
going
want
to wish
hear
you.
that.
We are going to wish you all the
good
best.
vibe.
We are going to wish you all the best, Mheshimiwa. Mheshimiwa, we've been told that time is not on our side, so
Thank you.
we have to wrap it up. And we want to thank you very much for taking time to come to Unfiltered. And indeed, I think we have not really filtered. And that's the reason Gashane was outright with the questions because here we don't filter. So we thank you very much for making time. So Gashane, time is not on our side. We have to wrap. There is a lot we would have discussed, but now time is
going to invite Mheshimiwa.
We are going to
And I appreciate this invite.
So,
I
yes.
appreciate the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gashane.
So until next Thursday, I'm Dongo Gashane.
And I'm Daniel Karaoke.
Unfiltered with Bran Otieno and Dongo Gashane.